Hi there, this is Paul Harrington, and I'm going to do my podcast. It'll be the second one in a series of podcasts called What Do You Think About? This one is basically, what do you think about God / religion / creation? And I thought this might be, I don't know if it's an appropriate time to bring it up or not, but I didn't want to do a podcast on everything that we've been seeing all over the news. We all know what's been happening. We all have our opinions on that, and I'm not about to get into it other than it kind of sickened me. But let's talk about God, let's talk about religion, and let's talk about creation. So I'll start out with God. And I'm going to use, for lack of a better term, I'm going to use the name God. But I don't necessarily believe in what the original intention of the word God means. I believe in a higher power that is very closely associated with, we're all trying to figure out what the meaning of life is. Well, if you understand what God is or that higher power is, you might discover the meaning of life, though I doubt it. I still haven't discovered it. But anyway, for me, God is a higher power that I believe is good, is not evil, and I believe that he provides or she provides a moral code and thought process for us to live by. And I think that there is an afterlife, and I think that we need to get there and get a good seat if we can or if we deserve it. Now, when I talk about a higher power, it could mean anything from aliens to whatever you feel your higher power is. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, we believe most of us believe are Christians in this country, and there are a lot of other religions there, but the gods of the other religions all basically have the same moral code and beliefs. The difference is that I don't believe that God is a necessary, or that you have to have a necessary place to go to worship or to have conversations with or to soul search with. I don't believe you have to go to certain buildings and institutions and stuff like that to get together and do these things. I believe each person has their own personal relationship with God. So that's my belief. It's a higher power. And you'll understand what I mean as I get into this. So let's move from God to religion. Okay? Let's take the predominant type of religion we have in this country, though since we've become a much more closely related world through technology and stuff, we learned a lot about other religions. But here in America, we still believe in Christianity. And I'd like to say, for my personal belief in religions, I think religions are one of the things that I don't necessarily agree with. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that need to go to their certain churches and want to worship devoutly. But I think that religions are also, and you can pick them out, they've all had their scandals, and but I think a lot of people go to church to be seen, that it's a social obligation, and they go there to be seen. But there's been so many religious scandals. You can pick them out from, well, we all know the Catholic scandals. We all know some of the Mormon scandals. We also know scandals about other religions. So for me, religions that build these gaudy temples to quote-unquote Jesus Christ is kind of the antithesis of how Jesus was born. Now understand, my first 13 years in school, I went to a strict parochial school up until 6th grade and continued in a Catholic school up until the point of high school. The difference was I went my first 6 years in New York, my first 6 grades in New York, and the 7th and 8th grade in California. And their style of teaching was entirely different, which you can read about in my book. But here's my rub. We also have the Jewish religion, and or Judaism, or whatever term you want to give it. And they don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. In fact, they don't believe that the second coming of Christ has happened yet. I don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. I mean, I don't. There were a lot of things when I was going to the Catholic schools in New York, for instance. Religion was one of the subjects that they took seriously, especially above the 3 R's. And one of the times I had to interpret the Bible, one of the passages from the Bible, and I can remember they got all gaga over it and how I interpreted it so wonderfully that after assuming that I was going to be in parochial school and in New York up until that point, when we came to high school, they wanted me to go off to the seminary and learn to become a priest. But there were too many contradictions that as I grew older. So I believe Jesus was a great man, okay? And I believe Jesus was a holy man. And I believe that he believed that he was the Son of God. He had to. If you're going to take the New Testament at its word, you have to believe that for him to go through a crucifixion like that, thinking that he was forgiving or saving the sins of the world, there's a lot of big contradictions in my mind about that. I'm going to get a little confused as I talk on. But anyway, I don't want to make it too long. So, in other words, it doesn't make a difference what God you believe in, long as you understand that there'll always be a battle between good and evil, and whatever institutions you believe in, if they're promoting the proper moral code, that's a good thing. There's also churches dedicated to Satan, so let's not forget that. But my biggest concern is that I have a special relationship with who I think the higher power is, and I hope to be forgiven. Now let's take one step further. We as human beings are supposedly ones that were born with a higher intelligence than the rest of the animal. Has a lot of flaws in it too. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't be good people and have a high moral code and understand that at any time in history we now have to be diligent, be aware of the evil around us. All of this I'm looking to generate conversation. The last thing I'm going to get into is creation. So all of a sudden, God created Adam and Eve. He rolled his big fist up, and a brand new world began. He created a woman and a man, okay? And to me, that becomes, once again, another contradiction, because when I was a young father, I think my kids and my wife bought me a present for Christmas or my birthday. It was called The Big Book of Why. And if you can remember when you were a kid, you could continue a conversation forever that said, cookies come from Sugar, why? Well, sugar is necessary for cookies. Why? You could continue going on and on and on because kids had so many questions and they would always keep going, why? So I kind of liken that to, okay, how was the world? How are we here? How are all the animals here? How come we're the higher ones with higher intelligence, all that stuff, okay? And I keep going back to people believe in evolution, people believe in the Big Bang Theory, and then people believe in what the Bible says. Instead of saying why, I say where. Where did it all begin? So you had a Big Bang Theory. Someone had to ignite that fuse to get that Big Bang. You have evolution. Someone had to create the first seed to create that evolution. If you keep going back, you're going to end up saying it's a higher power, much higher than us, that knows much more than we do. In fact, they know the meaning of life. Now, I said it could be aliens, it's just a higher power. And there's no real explanation that for the Big Bang Theory, you have to go back to a starting point. And wherever that starting point is, that's where you're going to find the true God. Okay? And for me, I've yet to find him. I think about it a lot, and to find him or her, I should say. I think about it a lot, and I'm not sure it's a him or her. But I will tell you this. We were given intelligence in order to be able to discern and make our own decisions. God, or the higher power, or whatever you choose to believe in, he or she, or whatever that higher power is, will show you certain ways that you can achieve what you want through prayer or worship or conversations with them. But he's not going to do it for you, okay? Or she's not going to do it for you. That's what your intelligence is for. The intelligence to make decisions after careful study of what's in front of you. So, this is a big jumbled podcast, but what I'm looking for is once again to create conversation. Number one, who is your God? Number two, do you believe in religion? Because if you believe in Christianity, well, there's so many religions out there that worship Jesus Christ. Why do we have so many different religions? Why is it only one? Okay, that's just an example. If you believe in evolution, explain it to me. If you believe in the Big Bang Theory, explain to me where it all started. If you think I'm just full of crap, let me know that too. But what I'm saying is that we have to have a moral compass to live by, that God didn't roll his great big fists up and create a woman and a man. That isn't where it began, and we didn't have the Garden of Eden and an apple and a snake. That was all symbolism. That was all something that has been refuted in studies of the Bible later on in history. So I believe in a higher power that gives me the ability to make my choice, that morally guides me, and hopefully will keep me on the straight path. I want your opinion. Do you believe in God, religion, and how the world was created? And give me your opinions on that. And if you believe in either one of them, just tell me why. Because I'm looking to try and understand how someone can believe in a God or Jesus Christ that was born in a manger, yet you go into St. Patrick's Cathedral and it might as well be Fort Knox. There's so much gold in there. Or you have so many different segments that believe in the same Jesus Christ. If you believe in the Big Bang Theory or if you believe in evolution, tell me where it started and why you believe that. I'm not trying to cause havoc here because I believe that's the great thing about this country. We have freedom of religion, we have freedom of worship, and we have freedom also not to believe. And if you believe it's purely scientific, that's fine, and let me know why. That's it for me. I don't know if I can say any more that makes any more sense, because this is getting confusing for me. This is what goes through my head at night sometimes when I'm sitting up, kind of half meditating, and being raised as a Catholic for so many years, and then growing up and seeing the contradictions brought so many new thoughts to me. And don't get me wrong, once again, I think Jesus was a great man. I think anyone that purports a moral compass that is to do good and to keep evil at bay is what we really need in this world. Paul Harrington signing off. Please, this podcast will survive only with your participation. Thanks very much. Talk to you later.